Hey, third grade, this is your math video for lesson 7.7. What we're going to be doing today is comparing fractions using visual models. So for this one, you are just going to need your whiteboards. We're just going to be writing our answer on our whiteboards. There is a workbook page that you will do later with your teacher, and that is also talking about comparing fractions. But for this one, we're just going to need our whiteboards. All right, so to start, we're going to do quick look cards. We have 3 of them. On the quick look card, you're just going to look and then you're going to write down what fraction you see on your whiteboard. So here's your first one. So what fraction do you see here? There's actually 2 names for this one. Okay, so this one would be 2/4 or 1/2. Remember when we talk about equivalent fractions, they equal the same. So for this case, 2/4 is also equal to 1/2. Remember when you're naming fractions, your denominator is how many pieces total there are, which was fourths, and then how many pieces are shaded in, which was 2. So 2/4 or 1/2. All right, what about this one? Again, this one also has 2 names. This one would be 1/2 or 2/2 because there's 2 pieces and both of them are filled in, which would also be equivalent to 1/2. And our last quick look card, this would be 1/2 because there's 2 pieces and one of them is filled in. All right, so go ahead and erase your whiteboards. So the first part, what we're going to look at is we are going to talk about these different shapes here, and it asks us, look at the 3 different holes, a circle, a rectangle, and a triangle. Let me move my picture so you can see the triangle. It says, which shape shows a shaded part less than 1/2? Which shape shows a shaded part greater than 1/2? And which shape shows a shaded part that's about 1/2? Okay, so I want you to pause the video, take a second to think about this, look at the 3 different shapes, and think which one is less than 1/2, greater than 1/2, or about the same as 1/2. So once you have your ideas, or you can play the video again and we will go over the answers. So for this one, let's look at the circle. So halfway, if you would draw a line halfway either this way or this way, we could say that this one would be more than 1/2 or greater than half of the circle is filled in. What about our rectangle? Is it less than half, more than half, about half? Right, this one would be less than half. Halfway would be about here or down the middle, and that is not what is shaded in. So this one would be less than half of the rectangle is shaded in. And now we have our triangle. Our triangle would be about half. It's not quite half, but it's about half. So how we're going to use these different shapes and the idea of half, whole, 1, 0, is we're going to use those in relation to benchmarks. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare fractions on number lines by thinking about their location on the number line in comparison to the benchmarks half, 0, and 1. So we can easily tell when it's halfway, we can tell when it's more than half, we can tell when it's less than half. So that's going to help us compare fractions using those different benchmarks. So it says here, just using these and on a number line, thinking of them in relation to a number line. Now, these are not in the same order, just from the way that they were positioned on the previous slide, but we know that this one would be closer to the 1, the rectangle would be closer to the 0, and then the triangle would be closer to about halfway, okay? All right, so on your whiteboards, we're going to practice trying to draw fraction circles a little bit, okay? So on your whiteboard, I want you to fill in this first one to show 2/3. So try and draw this fraction circle on your whiteboard to show 2/3. Just like here for our example, we show 1/2. Now I want you to try and show 2/3. And then you can do 3/6 and 1/4. Okay, so try those on your whiteboard, get practice drawing them and used to, cutting the shapes. And then once you have those drawn and you are ready to show your fraction, you can play the video again and then you can check to see if your work matches up with my work, okay? All right, so let's look at what 2/3 would look like. So here is a figure that would be 2/3. There's 3 total pieces. That's our number on the bottom, our denominator, and there are 2 shaded pieces. That is our numerator or the number on the top. Next would be 3/6. So if you look here, they kind of cut it, so it's at an angle, but it still shows halfway. There's 6 total pieces for our denominator and 3 pieces for our numerator. Does anybody know what an equivalent fraction for 3/6 would be? It would be 1/2, because if you look here, this one is equivalent to this one. Even though they look a little different, they still have the same amount shaded in. And our last fraction circle is 1/4. So there are 4 total pieces, and one of those pieces is filled in. All right, so check your work. How did you do? Did you figure out how many pieces to shade in based on the fraction? Well, we're going to use those same ones, so don't erase them yet, to help answer a few questions here, okay? So using 2/3, 3/6, and 1/4. Question 4 says, write the fraction above that is less than 1/2. So they're looking at these 3 examples right here, these 3, and which one would you say is less than 1/2? Is it 2/3, 3/6, or 1/4? What do you think? This one would be 1/4, because you can look here. I already said what equivalent fraction is equal to 1/2. We've already, mentioned that on the other slide. It would be 3/6. So that is your benchmark. Halfway is your benchmark, okay? So what's less than half would be 1/4. What's equal to half would be 3/6. Now it says write the fraction above that is greater than 1/2. So we have our one that's left, and you can tell it's greater than 1/2. More is filled in. So we would say 2/3 is greater than 1/2. So you can see how we used 1/2 as our benchmark. We talked about what's less than, what's greater than, and what's equal to. Now for question 7, it says write less than, greater than, or equal to make the sentence true. 3/4 is what compared to 1/4? So we have 1/4 here, and 3/4 would have 3 of the pieces filled in. So which one would be greater, 1/4 or 3/4? 3/4. And when I say greater, I mean more pieces shaded in, more of the circle filled in, closer to that 1 benchmark. Okay, so for this one, we would put it this way. So we would say that 3/4 is greater than 1/4 because it's closer to the whole or 1. And for this one, remember, you put the opening of the mouth towards the greater number or the greater fraction. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to look at a few different number line examples, and we are going to say what the fraction is and if they are close to the benchmark 0, close to half, or closer to 1. So let's look here. So we have our dot right here. They have the number strip here to show you from 0 to 1. So if this is the halfway point, this is your benchmark half. But look at this number here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. So if there's 6 spaces, what would our fraction be if it's filled in halfway, but there's 6 spaces? This one would be 3/6. And it would say it is exactly 1/2. Because remember, when we come up with numbers on our number line, we look at how many spaces there are and then where it is on that number line. So how many spaces is your number on the bottom or your denominator? And then the number of spaces to the dot is your numerator. Now, I know the fraction strip down here might be a little confusing, but this is just showing you halfway. That's to help you with this bottom part, okay? So let's try it again. So let's look here. So you could even look at this part first. So 1/2 is right here, 0 is here, 1's here. Is it closer to 0, closer to 1/2, exactly 1/2, or closer to 1? Look at where the dot falls on the number line. This one we would say is closer to 1 because it's almost there. Now we have to name the fraction. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces now this time. So where's the 7 going to go? On the top or on the bottom? That's going to go on the bottom. That's our denominator. But now what number goes on the top? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this would be 6/7, because a whole would be 7/7. So that's why it's closer to 1 than it is to the halfway mark. And remember, we got the 7 by counting the spaces between 0 and 1, and then we got the 6 by counting the distance from 0 to the dot. All right, so now that we've done a few examples, let's try 2 more. So this one is a lot bigger, but look at your benchmarks, 0, 1/2, and 1. Where would our fraction be if the dot is over here? Is it closer to 0, 1/2, exactly 1/2, or closer to 1? In this case, it would be closer to 0. So now, in order to figure out our denominator, we need to count all our spaces. So let's count. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's our denominator. Now, what is our numerator, or our number on the top? Well, from 0 to the point, that would only be 1 jump, or 1 space. Now let's look down here. Here's your point, here's 0, here's halfway, here's 1. If this is halfway, we would say that it's closer to 1/2. It's not exactly 1/2, it's closer to 1/2. Now let's figure out our fraction. Let's count our spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're working with fifths, and then we need to count from 0 to our dot. 1, 2. So what would our fraction be? 2/5. Very nice job, friends. Now, the last part of this is a game called Top It. You have played Top It before, but this is called Fraction Top It. So with this one, there's a couple different directions for it, but it's basically like your traditional game of Top It, and there's an online version. So with this one, you're just comparing fractions with the same denominators or common denominators, and you're going to pick which one is greater, okay? So you earn points by correctly comparing the fractions for having the greater fraction. So this game, there's 2 kinds. This one says Top It fractions with pictures, and then this one says Top It fractions without pictures. So this one shows you the fact circle. This one just shows you what the fraction is. So I would recommend starting with the pictures and then working your way up to without pictures. So if you get a moment during your math block, you can try and play Top It fractions with pictures. All right, good job, guys.